And we'll see. We'll see.
Hey everyone, this is the Power Shift Podcast. We are here today, June 25th, 2026, and we are here with my dear, dear friend and sister, Judge Jessica E. Green. Now, let me tell you a little bit before I ask her to introduce herself. We met many, many moons ago when we were
Oh my
both
gosh, it was so long
prosecutors.
ago.
When we were prosecutors under the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. That's the state. That's who does all the crimes and that are felonies. She did DV. I did narcotics. Well, I didn't do narcotics. I was a
Well,
prosecutor of drug crimes, and she helped clean the streets of all these people who are involved in domestic violence. And then we became law partners, and we
I
were
just
law
kind of wore down your walls and just made you be friends, and you just kind of
right.
got
You
dragged
did.
along,
You
kicking and
totally
screaming. So I'm
did.
like, let's be best friends. Let's be
Yeah.
friends forever, BFFs for life.
And I was like, who is this bubbly black
I
girl? She's
know, I know,
annoying me.
I know.
But
But you love
no,
me,
we
boo.
became to
You
be
love me.
very, very close. And we had a law partnership together for 5 years. And then she ran for judge. So please introduce yourself, Judge Green.
Thank you, Felicia, for having me here. My name is Jessica Green. I am currently on Jefferson Circuit Court. I have been on the bench since 2022. Prior to that, I was on Louisville Metro Council for almost 8 years, for about 7.5 years, and I love the work that I did there as well. And simultaneously, during the time that I was on Metro Council, I was also running a law practice, a significant portion of that with Felicia. I give Felicia a lot of credit for even making me believe that I could actually be in business for myself and that I could actually have people who would hire me, because I did not necessarily believe that. And so while I was at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, I did domestic violence work. I also started as a baby prosecutor in Hardin County in Elizabethtown. I am a mom, a wife, and I have been blessed, and have loved every job that I have ever had. I love being on the circuit court term and getting to do the work that I do. And it's not a honor or privilege that I take for granted, because there's not a history of a lot of people who look like me or who's from the same neighborhoods that I'm from, having the opportunity to do that. So it's not something that I take lightly, and it's something that I am grateful for. And so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having
I,
me.
I love it because, she's a West End girl.
I
She
am.
made good. She got on
I
that
am.
bench,
I
and
am.
it's so important that people know that there are people that look like us
Hmm.
up there
Yeah.
doing that work. Can you tell, before I move on to our topic today, can you tell a little bit about what a circuit court judge is and what
Yeah.
you
So
oversee?
absolutely. So circuit court is the upper trial court in Kentucky. And so we hear civil cases and criminal cases. The civil cases that we hear are where the amounts in controversy are above $5,000. So if somebody has a lawsuit, maybe it's a car wreck, it's a racial discrimination case, it's a wrongful death situation. We hear those cases where, again, the amount in controversy is above 5,000. If it's below $5,000, then that is in small claims court, in district court, which is the lower trial court. We also hear criminal cases. So we hear criminal cases only if they are felonies. And so felonies are things that are punishable by 1 year up to death. And so a lot of the cases that I hear, there may be thefts, felony level thefts, robberies, rapes. I have had one death penalty case that came back prior to the time that I got on the bench, that I did some post conviction work on. So it's something that is very, very busy. We do a lot of writing, particularly the civil attorneys. They love to file motions. There's nothing more that a civil attorney loves to do than to pepper the court with a lot of
Right,
emotions
right.
and writing, and so I do a lot of writing, a lot of reading. But the most favorite part for me is the interaction that I get to have with the people in the community on the bench, and so that's the part of the job that I absolutely love the most.
Okay, so when I ask guests to come on the show, I ask them, what is something that you want to talk about? What is something that
Mhm.
is you're passionate about? And you immediately came up with a topic, and I've entitled this episode "Turn Over the Ballot." What does that
Mhm.
mean? I know what that means, but what does that mean? What does that mean?
So, we're going to be talking about why judicial elections matter. And so, the judicial races are on the back of the ballot. And so, a lot of people don't even flip over the ballot, they don't really become invested in who it is that you are electing as judges. A lot of people don't believe that it matters that much who your judge is, or don't really see that there's any level of importance. I think that a lot of times, I think the vast number of judicial races that people see, it causes their eyes to glaze over. And so they just don't even um, fool with flipping it over. I think a lot of times, people, they can name their mayor, their governor, or their president, but they often cannot name a single judge. Yet judges actually decide issues that affect people at some of the most important moments of their lives. And so we'll have an opportunity to kind of talk about that, some of the decisions that judges make, why you want to know who your judges are, and why it is so, so important.
So we have how many circuit court judges do we have?
We have 13
Mhm.
circuit court judges. We have 10 family court judges, and we have 17 district court judges. So there are 30 trial court judges in Jefferson County, broken up between the three terms. And so, in addition, we do have two Court of Appeals judges that are from Louisville, and we have one Supreme Court justice from the Commonwealth of Kentucky that is actually on the bench that's from Louisville as well. But the people that you interact with every day, those will typically be your trial judges. And so again, that's the circuit court term, the family court term, and that is the district court term. And the 30 of us, between the three terms, we are the people who decide decisions like child custody and visitation. We decide criminal sentencing, domestic violence and protective orders, business disputes, personal injury claims, property rights, probate and estates, juvenile matters, election law, mental health commitments, constitutional rights. It is so important
Right.
that you know who it is that's running for these spots, so that you can make informed decisions. And so a judge may never pass a law, but judges interpret the law and apply laws in ways that affect real people every day.
Hmm. How do you, before I became a lawyer, I'm not even sure that I knew the
Hmm.
importance of this. And how do you tell people how they research the person? Like, how do we know which judge is the better choice that align with our values?
I think that that's why diversity matters so much on the bench. And I'm not just talking about diversity in terms of black, white, or women. The goal is not for judges to reach different legal outcomes because of race, gender, or background. We all take the same oath and we're bound by the same law. The value of diversity is that different life experiences can broaden understanding. And so that's why it's important for people to know who it is that maybe has an experience like you have perhaps had in your life, because I think that it's important that if somebody has had an experience like you, there's a level of somehow of understanding, because
Right.
life experiences shape perspective. And so a judge who grew up in a rural county may bring different experiences than one like me who grew up in an urban neighborhood Cecil and Greenwood. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
a former prosecutor may see issues through a different lens than a former public defender. A first
Right.
generation college graduate may have different experiences than someone who came from generational wealth, and so those experiences, they don't replace the law, but they can help judges better understand the people who appear before them, and they can also help people understand a little bit about the judges. And here's like one of the things that I think that is
Hmm.
most that courts rely on public trust. And so when people walk into a courthouse and see judges from different races, genders, geographic regions, professional backgrounds, and life experiences, that reinforces the idea that justice belongs to everyone. And I strongly
Right.
believe that a judiciary that reflects the community can strengthen the confidence in everyone, that everyone will be heard and treated fairly. And so back to your original point of how can you learn about a judge? We are required to campaign and show up, because in Kentucky we are elected to show up at events as well. Now there are certain things that we cannot answer because we're
Right.
bound by the judicial canons, but I think that you can get to know who it is who's representing you. I also strongly feel that people should not just show up in places with people who look like us during election time. And so I think that you can draw a lot of inference from people that you see continuously in the community when it's not an election cycle. People who visit churches, people who show up to Urban League events, people who that you see at breast cancer walks, or wherever it is that you are. And if you see people who are running for judge, and particularly if it's the off election cycle,
Right.
that gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the values that they may have, and if they align with some of the values that you have. And so for me personally, I grew up in West Louisville, as I said, Cecil and Greenwood, one of 13 kids. I know what it's like to grow up with limited resources, to worry about whether or not, the lights are going to stay on, and to navigate many challenges that families face every day. Those
Right.
experiences, they don't change the law, but they do help me to understand people who come before me and before the court.
Hmm.
And so that's why I think differences and diversity and background matters, because again, as I said, life experiences help us to better understand the people who appear before us every
Hmm.
day.
Right. I got a quick little story. I don't know if I told you this, but I was in district court when I was actively practicing law, and
Hmm.
a judge, a man came up. He didn't have the money for his fines. He
Hmm.
owed about $160, and the judge asked him, "Can't you just borrow that from a friend?" And another attorney and I looked at each other, kind of raised our eyebrows, because that was just a insensitive, question. Like, if
Hmm.
he had somebody to borrow it from, he probably would have did that.
Right.
Not everyone has disposable income
Right.
that
Right.
he had been paying as he went, and he just couldn't pay it on the time frame that the court allowed. So that's kind of what Judge Green is talking about when she says that people have a better understanding sometime of people's consequences, right? Another judge may have said, okay, just pay $25 every time you
Mhm.
get paid so you can pay it off. I will never jail you if you keep you showing me consistency, right?
That's right.
Not saying borrow it from a friend or borrow it from your parents. It
But
was
I,
an
and I think,
asinine
as
thing
I
to
was
say.
saying, that is why, backgrounds
Right.
inform decisions and inform how people interact with people. And again, it does not mean that, somebody is more lenient or whatever the case may be, but I think that it does inform the decisions, the expectations, and
Hmm.
how you interface with people based upon your own lived circumstances. Because if you didn't live through some financially lean times,
Right.
I think you may have a little bit more understanding of
Hmm.
some of the litigants who appear before you. That's one of the reasons why, we learned during the pandemic that the practice of law in court could look a lot differently. I don't frankly want somebody coming to court for a 5 minute court appearance and leaving work if all we're going to be doing is passing the case.
Right,
So I always allow people to appear via Zoom unless it's a sentencing or probation
right,
revocation
right.
hearing. Absolutely, you can dial in. You don't have to ask me or have your attorney ask me. Absolutely, Mr. Attorney or Ms. Attorney, you can appear telephonically because, again, I know what it's like to be running from courtroom to courtroom and county to county.
Yep.
And, again, I think that is
People having to
why.
take off work to come to
Absolutely.
court for 5 minutes. Right.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
again, you're already struggling and trying to figure out how to make it. I don't want somebody to lose their job to
Right.
come in front of me. So, again, I think that life experiences can shape and inform the decisions you make, how you administer justice, how you choose to run your courtroom. And I
Yeah.
think that that is why all of this matters so much. And so I highly encourage people to pay more attention to that. Ask trusted people that you know about some of the judges on the ballot, because everybody is going to know. You're going to know somebody who knows some of the people who are running. And so ask people that about this person or that person, and what kind of person that are
Right.
they. Are they a kind person? Because, again, I think so much of what we do is interacting with people in the public at some of their most vulnerable times. And so
Right.
treating people with a level of humanity, that's some of the part of the cardinal tenets of what I do. I call every litigant Mr. or Ms. I don't care what it is that you are alleged to have done. Good morning, Mr. Smith. Good to see you. I greet everybody. I don't care if you're in an orange jumpsuit. I'm going to say good
Right.
morning to you
Right.
just because
Compassion.
everybody
Compassion.
deserves humanity. And, again, I
Yeah.
think that, again, that comes down to life experiences.
Yes, I totally agree. And I'm so proud of you and your accomplishments. And I've been in your courtroom and observed you. And it makes I'm about to tear up. I don't want to tear up, y'all. I don't want to tear up. But it's amazing to see her up there and show everyone compassion. She's such a beautiful, beautiful
I appreciate
soul.
that, friend.
She much nicer than me. Much nicer
You're
than me, y'all.
nice. You're nice.
Yeah,
Now,
don't tell nobody. You ruined
now
my
they
rep.
do know when I cock my head to the side or kind of
Uh,
scrounge my eyes down. Now it may not end up so good for you at that point, but everybody leads with a clean slate. But if you
right,
if you if
right,
you do it up, then I'm gonna have to do it up with you.
right. Exactly, exactly. Well, everybody, I want to thank Judge Green for showing up on the Power Shift podcast. Remember, go to lul.org/vote for more information. We got the QR code up at the top so you can pledge to vote. We also had a ballot builder in there. So hopefully, all the judges who are running in November have a website. The ballot builder will go to those websites and get information about them so you can read about who's running for judge. Don't leave those um, races blank. Do not do
Hmm.
that. Like, we need good people like Judge Green on the bench, and there are tons of great people who are running, and you need to know who they are. And like Judge Green said, if you don't know who to vote for, ask a trusted friend.
Hmm.
Usually I say ask a lawyer. If you
Hmm.
ask a lawyer, they're going to know exactly
Absolutely.
who is the better choice. Some people run for judge for the retirement. I'm just going to be
Hmm.
honest.
Hmm.
And they don't know any, they have never appeared in these courtrooms. They
Hmm.
may be a lawyer, but they've never appeared in these courtrooms. They never had a trial. They've never done a family court case. You don't want that person up there. You want somebody who practiced in the field. You want somebody who has knowledge of it. You don't want somebody learning on the job. So I want everybody to
Ask Felicia. Felicia said,
yeah,
ask
ask
her about the
me.
judges who are running. Ask her.
Yeah, you can ask me. If you have my phone number, ask me. But a lot of y'all don't have my phone number. I heard it was online, but hopefully it's gone now. But you all, thanks, Jessica, for coming on. I really
Yes, thank you
appreciate
for
you,
having
love you.
me.
And we will be back next week with another edition of the Power Shift podcast.
was fun.